Alright, hey guys. Today I'm gonna tell y'all one of the birthing stories. Um, and yes, I said one. I know everybody ain't got all day to talk about how many babies I've birthed, but we're gonna talk about the twins because that's the most interesting story that I have. So it started when I lived in Atlanta. That's where I had them in Decatur. But one of the docs was doing ultrasound class for all of the ER doctors, and I still work in the ER, but I worked for that hospital at the time. And she asked, I said sure. I was about 29 weeks pregnant at the time, so I ended up going. But the problem that I had was it was at the main campus. Main campus is bigger, lots bigger. It's in the middle of June, so I'm like walking. I couldn't find a parking spot, so I walked all the way across the campus. I didn't have any water. It was hot, so I was walking fast. I didn't want to be late. And I don't think I was late, but you know how you just try to get there early so that you can be ready and nobody's waiting on you. So I get there. Everything was fine, no issues. But then later during the day, when I got back home, I started having contractions. So called my doc said come in. I went in. They stopped the contractions with some man. And I'm sorry if y'all don't know, I am an ER nurse, but I have no like other than birthing babies, I don't know anything about baby meds and what they give moms and all that stuff. So I want to say they gave me magnesium to stop the contractions, but I can't remember. So anyways, they gave me the medicine. They give the babies some steroids, and then just in case they came on early. And then they also did this test that showed whether or not I would deliver within a certain amount of time. So the test that they gave me showed that I would deliver in like 2 weeks or so. So she kind of gave me the option. My water hadn't broken at the time, so she was like, you can stay or you can go. So by then it's like day 2 or 3, and I'm like, I can't stay. Like, I have indigestion real bad. I want to go home. I'm going to go stay at my mother-in-law's house. At the time, the older 2 kids, Leah and MJ, were in Illinois with my parents for the summer, and we just had Jemiel. So my mother-in-law would hang out with Jemiel most of the day. So I was like, I'll just stay there. So we stayed at my mother-in-law's house, and one night we were just sitting there watching TV, and I started feeling contractions. Well, he had went ahead and went to sleep. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And he went on and went to sleep, but I texted him. I was like, hey, I think I might be going in labor. So he's like, well, come lay down. So I went in the room, I laid down, and then I started having a pain, almost like somebody was stabbing me type pain. It was really quick, short, but I was like, I feel like, I'm in labor. So he was like, let's go. So we got in the van, and I'm so unprepared for life, but I'm not one to pack any bags or make any big deals or anything. I just went in my nightgown, and I think I had my cell phone. So we get in the van, and I can't sit down. So he pulls over, and he's like, well, go lay in the back. So I laid in the back. We're like 10 to 15 minutes away from the hospital. We get to the hospital, and one of the girls that I used to work with is in registration, and she's like, yo, Tosh, you okay? I'm like, no, I think this is it. I think I'm in labor. And she's like, well, sit. I was like, I cannot sit. So I'm like kind of walking a pace and hold my stomach and stuff. And then I said, yo, is Renee here? Now, anybody who knows me and Renee, like, we were thick as thieves. So very best friends. And so, and that's still my homie. She's just freaking all the way in dang on Atlanta, and I'm all the way here. But I get into the triage area, and she's like, I can't check your cervix, and at that time, I don't even know that I was dilated. Even when I went to the hospital, I don't think I was dilated at the time. I can't remember. But anyways, she was like, she went and got the doctor. The doctor came in, the doctor checked me, and she's like, oh, well, that's the head. So they put me into another room. So if you know anything about twins and delivering twins, they have separate teams for everybody. So mommy gets a team of nurses and people, the babies get a team. So there's like 3 different teams in there. So there's no less than maybe 15 people in the room. I'm like just, I done been here before, so I wasn't like a big deal to me or anything. But she's like, push. And I'm like, I don't have the urge. In my head, I'm like, normally in labor, I have the urge to push. You can't stop me. Well, I didn't have the urge. But she's like, just push. He's right there. Now, mind you, my water hadn't broken, nothing. So I'm pushing, and I think I might have pushed once or twice. And he just came on out. She broke the bag as it came out. They were just still taping down my IV. I just have a nightgown on. I didn't even have a hospital gown on. Taped my IV at the same time. And then, like, immediately, she's like, okay, I got to get you to the OR. I didn't even think about it. I'm just like, okay. All right. So we go to the OR. And then my homegirl, she's like, I got to put a catheter in. I'm like, all right. But I can't tell you what's going on down there because I ain't seen it in months. And so she was like, shut up, Tosh. So she put the catheter in. And next thing you know, Dr. Pope's like, oops, I didn't mean to say her name. But anyways, Doc is like, I need to put you to sleep. I was like, no, we ain't talking about you putting me to sleep. And she was like, I don't have a choice. Like, we don't have time. And so if you think, like, we never discussed putting me to sleep. I didn't even know it was even a possibility. Like, in my mind, I'm thinking, even if I had a C-section, I would have had my epidural by then. Like, so I would still be awake. No thoughts of this. And in my mind, I'm thinking, like, I haven't spoke to anybody. I ain't told people that I love them. I ain't told people goodbye in case that I don't wake up again. Like, I'm like, people don't wake up. No, you're not putting me to sleep. She's like, Tosh, I don't have time for this. And then my homegirls, Renee's like, Tosh, I ain't gonna let nothing happen to you. And I was like, shit. So this is why me and Lady don't get along. Because all of my kids were vaginal births. And then her, the end, number 5 decides that she not gonna come out the right way. So anyway, they get ready to put me to sleep, and anesthesia like has the ambu bag, and he's like, ready. I'm like, wait, I need y'all to tie my tubes. I ain't doing this shit again. So Renee had to make sure like the paperwork was ready and all of that. I didn't care what they had to do. They was not putting me to sleep without tying my tubes. We had an agreement. So they agreed to tie my tubes. They put me to sleep. And so the timeline is like, I went into labor at around 3. From the time, for 3 in the morning. So from the time that I, Zulu. Okay, y'all can't see him. So from the time, sit. So from the time that, I got to the hospital and got registered, it was 13 minutes when I had Nasir. And then from the time that I had Nasir, for the time that I delivered in the OR, it was like another 15 minutes. So within 30 minutes, I had both the babies. So my homegirl said that it took a while for Lady to come around. Like, they had to breathe for just a couple minutes. And then she ended up coming around. But her breathing was terrible. And so I didn't wake up until like 10 o'clock that night. Because I was on a morphine pump. So I had vaginal delivery, I had a C-section, and then I had my tubes tied all at the same time. So I was like out from the morphine. So I just had my pump, and I would press it and go back to sleep. So I go down, I see the babies, Nasir looked great. Lady, she was like real boggy and wet looking. Her breathing, like, she was retracting, like you could see all her ribs, and she was just breathing in very fast, very deep. Her oxygen levels were low, and they say that babies can maintain a lower oxygen level. I didn't know any of this, because I'm looking like, why aren't y'all breathing for my baby? Like, I didn't go into panic mode, but in my mind, I'm just thinking all of this stuff. And as they're explaining to me, they're like, we gave her surfactant, let it kick in. She's on a CPAP right now, which just kind of forces air into your lungs. So they're like, we don't need to put a tube in her. Just let her breathe on her own and give us 24 hours and see how she does. So I'm like, okay. So I go back to the room, and then I finally look at my phone. I have all kind of messages and stuff. Now, mind you, we hadn't told anybody. So, at least from my knowledge, nobody really knew, because it's just me and him at the hospital still. Okay. So I call my mom first. My mom is hot. Like, she's like, yo, dad posted the babies on Facebook and da da da. And I didn't even know. Okay, so long story short, my husband, they had taken pictures of the twins to give to him. So he took a picture of the picture and sent them to my dad. Well, my dad works night shift like me. I guess he didn't want to wake my mom up. So instead of him calling her and be like, yo, Tasha's in labor, she had the babies, everybody's okay, he posts the pictures on Facebook. Facebook is the devil, okay? My dad had great intentions, but wrong platform. So he posted pictures on Facebook. I guess my mom woke up and saw him. She in panic mode because she knows it's too early for me to have the baby. She don't know what's going on. You know, lady all on oxygen and everything else. So she just didn't have a story behind the labor. And I know my dad. And my husband says very few words. So I know he didn't give him the story for my dad to relay it to my mom. So it was a mess. So nobody, long story short, nobody knew I was in the hospital. And the pictures are on Facebook. So I look at like all these messages and all these things, and people asking me, am I okay? We haven't heard from you, all this stuff. It was a mess. But that is the labor story. The twins stayed in the hospital for like 6 weeks to 7 weeks. Nasir never needed anything but warming and feeding, and I breastfed, so I had to like pump a lot because they didn't really want to latch. Like once they started feeding them through the tube, they mostly were taking the bottle a lot, but I did use breast milk. Nasir was 314, Lady was 3 pounds 1 ounce, and the crazy thing is, if you looked at them together, he looked so much bigger. Those 13 ounces, he looked so much bigger than her. And it made a difference in her breathing and all of that stuff. But she came home with oxygen. He didn't. He came home maybe a few days before her. But that's it. So that was my labor story. And today is $5 sushi day at Sprouts. So I'm about to get with it. And I will talk to y'all next video. Bye.